April 21st, 2026. Spooky Scrapbook.
Never lie to a Libra, not because they'll confront you, not because they'll cause a scene, because they already know. They knew before you opened your mouth. They just wanted to see if you'd actually go through with it. A Libra doesn't listen to what you say. They listen to what you almost said. The pause before the answer. The word you chose instead of the obvious one. The way your energy shifted 2 degrees to the left when the topic changed. You thought that was subtle. To a Libra, you just held up a confession sign. They study people the way architects study buildings, structurally. They know your load-bearing walls. They know which story you tell when you're comfortable and which version comes out when you're nervous. And the moment those 2 versions stop matching, they don't say a word. They just file it. A Libra will give you every opportunity to come clean. They'll bring the topic up casually. They'll leave the door wide open. They'll practically hand you the truth and wait for you to offer it back. That's not naivety. That's a courtesy call before the verdict. And here's what most people don't understand. A Libra's silence after they catch you isn't confusion. It's reclassification. You just went from someone they trusted to someone they manage. And you will feel the difference. You won't be able to explain it. The texts will still come. The conversations will still happen, but something behind their eyes just locked. They will never find the key. So no, don't lie to a Libra because you're scared of the argument. Lie to a Libra, and there won't be one. There will just be a version of them you'll never have access to again. But you won't even know what you lost until it's the only thing you want back. Never lie to a Libra.
In Easton, Connecticut. Do you know that along Route 59 in Easton, Connecticut, there is an old graveyard where drivers have spent more than a century slamming their brakes for a woman no one can explain? Union Cemetery looks quiet in daylight. It is one of those old New England burial grounds where the stones lean with age and the air feels heavier than it should. But after dark, people say the place changes. That is when the White Lady appears. Witnesses describe her the same way again and again. A pale woman in a flowing white dress, dark hair hanging around her face, standing silently near the road or gliding between the graves, as if she belongs to another time. The first reports reach back to the early 1900s, and that is what makes this legend so unsettling. It was never just one sighting, one rumor, or one frightened imagination. For generations, drivers, locals, and paranormal investigators all told the same kind of story. A woman appears suddenly in front of a moving car. The driver swerves, heart pounding, convinced they are about to hit her. But when they jump out or look again, there is nothing there. No footprints, no person. Only the cemetery beside the road and the feeling that something was watching from inside it. As the legend grew, people tried to explain who she was. Some believed she was the spirit of a grieving mother, broken by the loss of her child and unable to leave the burial ground behind. Others thought she was tied to one of the older 19th century graves, a woman whose death came with such sorrow that her presence never faded. No single grave ever solved the mystery, and that uncertainty only made her more powerful. She became less like one woman and more like the face of every old tragedy buried there. Then the story spread even farther when Ed and Lorraine Warren investigated the cemetery. Their claims that they had documented the apparition gave the White Lady national attention and helped turn Union Cemetery into one of Connecticut's most feared haunted places. To believers, that was proof she was real. To skeptics, it only deepened the myth. But either way, the result was the same. The White Lady stopped being just a local whisper and became a permanent part of American paranormal folklore. And that is what makes the mystery so chilling. The White Lady was never fully identified because perhaps she was never meant to be. She represents loss, grief, and unfinished sorrow clinging to one of the oldest cemeteries in New England. That is why the sightings never truly die. At Union Cemetery, people believe the dead do not always stay silent. Sometimes on a dark Connecticut night, one of them steps back onto the road in white and reminds the living that some legends were born from something that never left.
rarest version of Libra? The rarest version of Libra. Only 1% of people have this energy. They don't want you to know this, but there's a version of Libra that's so rare, so untouchable, that most people will never even meet one in their lifetime. You see, Libra is often labeled as the charming peacemaker, the one who balances everything, who hates conflict and seeks harmony. But the rarest version of Libra, they are different. They don't just balance the scales, they break them. This Libra isn't controlled by the need to be liked. They don't bend over backward to keep the peace. They see the game for what it is, and they know exactly how to play it. This version of Libra is powerful, magnetic, untouchable. They've mastered the art of detachment. They can read a person in seconds, knowing what they want, what they fear, what they hide. They don't beg for attention. Attention naturally flows to them because there's something mysterious, something untamed about them. They love deeply but never desperately. You can lose them in an instant, and once they're gone, you'll never get them back. Unlike the typical Libra who struggles with indecision, this version moves with absolute certainty. They don't hesitate. If something or someone doesn't align with their elevated energy, they're gone. No explanations, no second chances. And that's what makes them so rare. They don't fear being alone. In fact, they thrive in it. They're not waiting for validation, not waiting for love to complete them. They are whole on their own. People are drawn to them, but can't quite figure them out. They possess a natural authority, a presence that commands respect without a single word. They've broken free from the need to conform, to please, to fit into society's mold of what a Libra should be. But here's the thing. If you ever meet this kind of Libra, you will never forget them. They change people. They make you rethink everything you thought you knew about love, connection, and energy. They have a quiet power that lingers long after they're gone, and that's why they are the rarest. Type Libra energy if you're that version.
Hartford, Connecticut.
Can you pray Psalm 91 with me? The most powerful prayer in the Bible is Psalm 91. It can protect us from any evil. Now let's close our eyes and pray. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High, in the shadow of the Almighty shall rest. I take refuge in the Lord. He is my God, my fortress, and in him I will trust. For he will deliver me from the snare of the fowler and from the pernicious pestilence. He will cover me with his feathers, and under his wings I will trust. His truth will be my shield and buckler. I will not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies by day, nor of the pestilence that walks in darkness, nor of the slaughter that rages at noon. 1,000 may fall at my side and 10,000 at my right,